I'm Charmaine Williams, the Minister for Women's Social and Economic Opportunities, but as the local MPP for Brampton Centre, I am thrilled to be part of this historic infrastructure announcement for the City of Brampton. Building on job creation strategies like the $265 million Magna EV battery facility and the $1 billion investment in healthcare services, today's announcement demonstrates that this government understands the importance of supporting the Brampton economy and delivering on infrastructure to keep up with our growing population. Providing fast and convenient transportation options, including GO rail service, is crucial to the health of our economy and priority of this government. This brand new and improved Ramilly GO station is a shining example of how prudent planning and investing will make travel easier and further our goal of creating jobs while boosting our economy and maintaining a high quality of life for all residents. As always, I want to thank my colleagues for being here today in Brampton Centre and thank them for their continued support for Brampton. Now at this point, I would like to ask MP Meninder Sidhu to come and give his remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, bonjour et tous. Thank you for that kind introduction, Minister Williams. I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, Ojibwa, Chippewa, and the Mississaugas of Credit peoples. It's a pleasure to be here today alongside my friend, MP Shafqat Ali, the MP for Brampton Centre, Premier Ford, Minister Williams, Minister Sarkaria, and along with MPPs and distinguished guests for today's exciting announcement, including members from our municipal government. Our government remains focused on building a brighter future, a more prosperous, more resilient, and a more sustainable Canada for everyone. We continue to take strong climate action, grow our economy, and create good middle-class jobs across the country. As we continue this work, we are furthering our investments in the infrastructure needed to support Canadians. Our goal is to strengthen our economy and our communities and to provide new social and economic opportunities for families, youth, and seniors. Public transit is key to the well-being of our communities. It keeps our economy growing, creates good jobs, and connects Canadians to work, school, family, and friends. Today, I'm proud to celebrate the completion of major infrastructure right here at the Brampton GO station. These changes, supported by a federal investment of more than $1.8 billion to the GO Transit Expansion Project, which will help ease traffic, reduce emissions, and make it easier for Canadians to take transit. As one of the busiest stations along the corridor, this Brampton GO station improvement will provide a more modern, accessible, and efficient way to travel. Since 2015, our government has made historic investments in public transit to build cleaner communities across the country. As we address the needs of growing communities like the Greater Golden Horseshoe, we are also delivering lasting benefits to Canadians by investing in public transit systems. Projects like this mean that Canadians will spend less time commuting and more time doing the things that they love. By working closely with our partners from the provincial government across from the provincial side, we can build the future we want while taking strong climate action, strengthening the economy, and bolstering communities. When we invest in infrastructure, we're creating stronger communities and investing in the well-being of Canadians for generations to come. I know myself, I know MP Shafqat Ali, MP Ruby Sahota, Minister Kara, and of course MP Sonia Sidhu heard from all the residents in Brampton of what these improvements mean. We know there was a huge backlog of parking in this station right here. It's one of the busiest stations in the region, and we're just very excited to be here in support of today's announcement. Thank you very much, and merci.
My name is Patrick Brown, the Mayor of Brampton, and I'm joined here today by local councillor Rod Power. And really, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the City of Brampton to our federal and provincial governments for supporting this significant investment in one of the busiest GO centres in the province. I'm told from Phil Verster that 1,089 buses come through Bramalea go every single day, which is incredible. This is there's an abundance of activity here, and if I look at this new parking facility, it is desperately needed. It is a beautiful addition to our community. People used to fight for parking spots here at Bramalea. They won't be fighting anymore because of this provincial and federal investment. And I also want to say specifically to Premier Ford, thank you. You know, it was just a month ago that they announced weekend GO train service in Brampton that is already a home run. Now, with this investment and the continued investments in our GO infrastructure, we're getting the type of reliable transit that we've envisioned for a long time. So I just wanted to come here today, grateful to say thank you to our great provincial and federal partners. It's a great day in the city of Brampton. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. What's so great about Bramalea is it is the busiest station on the Kitchener line. It is also one of the stations that we really had to put in place with a view of how our network is going to expand in the future. But we've got a lot of transit projects going on in Brampton and the area. This was a really important one for us to win. And what it enables us to do is some of that service expansion that Mayor Brown talked about. We now run 16 trains both directions, 32 trains every day on weekends, making this the 7-day railway service in and out of Brampton, and we're looking forward to making more progress on the GO expansion in the future. Hand over to Minister Mulroney.
Thank you, Phil. Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. It's great to be back in Brampton alongside MP Sidhu, MP Ali, Minister Williams, Minister Sarkaria, Minister Cho, Phil Verster, Mayor Brown, MPP Sandhu, and of course, Premier Ford. It's days like today where I'm reminded of just how much we've been able to accomplish as a government. One of my first announcements as Minister of Transportation 4 years ago was right here in Brampton, to announce the introduction of two-way evening GO service and more frequency along the Kitchener line. And that's why I'm so pleased to be here at the Bramalea station today with Premier Ford and my colleagues as we take another exciting step forward to improve GO transit for Brampton residents. We made a promise to get Ontario moving, and our government is delivering results. Things look a lot different now than they did when the Liberals were in power. To start, we're getting things built. And transportation projects are being built concurrently, not just one at a time. Transportation planning is also focused on the long term, not just quick wins. Under our government, things are changing, and this is good for Ontarians. Premier Ford's collaborative approach to building has brought together all levels of government, federal, provincial, and municipal, to deliver the largest expansion of public transit infrastructure our province has ever seen. We're working towards two-way, all-day, 15-minute GO train service on core segments of the network. And this includes right here at Bramalea GO Station along the Kitchener line, which serves growing communities like Waterloo, Kitchener, Guelph, and of course, Brampton. But new public transit isn't the only thing that we're bringing to this great city. Since day one, our government has recognized that for our transportation network to effectively serve all Ontarians, we need to build in a balanced way. And that's why we're also moving forward with Highway 413. I know residents of Brampton and Peel Region are especially excited about this project and the significant relief that it will bring to their communities. All in all, the benefits of our historic investments in transportation right here in Brampton and across the province speak for themselves. They will fight gridlock, provide more transportation options for people, boost our economy, and better connect Ontario's rapidly growing communities. Our government's plan to build a stronger Ontario is in motion, and today is just another exciting step along the way. And now, I'd like to turn it over to Premier Ford. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Minister Mulroney, for that introduction. Before I get started, I just wanted to acknowledge the terrible tragedy that took place earlier today in Ottawa region. I'm deeply saddened by the loss of another brave police officer, OPP Sergeant Eric Miller, who was senselessly killed in the line of duty. It's just devastating news, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family and loved ones during this difficult time. I also want to offer my prayers for the two officers who were injured as we await word on their condition. Just this past weekend, I had the honor of speaking at the Ontario Police Memorial Foundation Ceremony of Remembrance to remember the police officers who lost their lives in the line of duty over the past year. Tragically, this year, we've added 5 names to the memorial wall. And it's just devastating that next year we now have to add another name. It's also another reminder why it's so important that we support and recognize our police officers every chance we get and ensure that they're treated with the respect and dignity they deserve. May God bless our brave women and men in uniform. It's a pleasure to be back in Brampton alongside MPP Sadu and MP, I apologize. We almost transferred you over to the PC team provincially. And then MP Shevkot, Minister Mulroney, Williams, Sarkaria, and Cho, and MPP Sandhu. And it's great to see Phil Verster from Metrolinx and MP Sadu. And Mayor Patrick Brown, which is just, I got to tell you about Mayor Brown. He's been a fabulous partner every step of the way. He's helping us in partnership grow Brampton, no matter if it's the new medical university or the hospital or the transit. So we're thrilled to be here today, Mayor, and thank you for hosting us. To mark another important milestone as we deliver on our promise to expand and improve GO train service, including here on the Kitchener GO line, making it easier and more convenient for people to take transit. In one of the fastest growing regions in the province, I remember years ago when I lived here about 35 years ago, it was a lot smaller. 410 wasn't built. Now look at it. It's an incredible city. I want to thank Phil and his team at Metrolinx for all the hard work that you've been doing day in and day out, making improvements to the bridges, tracks, and stations across the corridor. And as we continue to make these improvements, we recently introduced two-way weekend GO train service between Brampton and Toronto and new weekend GO bus service serving Waterloo, Kitchener, and Guelph. And today, we're thrilled to celebrate the completion of the major upgrades here at the new and improved Brampton GO station. What they've done here is just absolutely incredible. If you just look behind me, this is a revamped station, includes a new main building allowing customers to easily access train platforms through accessible pedestrian tunnels and upgraded elevators. The platform includes new canopies, a new snow melt system, and can now accommodate our 12-car trains. That means less crowded trains and more comfortable commutes. The station now has more than 4,100 new parking spaces, including a brand new 2,059 car parking garage, the biggest parking structure in the GO train network. And for the first time, we have 3 different bus services: GO Transit, Brampton Transit, and Zoom, all with stops inside the station, making this a very, very key transportation hub for the growing Peel region. And friends, this is just the beginning. This new station, this new transit hub, brings us one step closer to all-day two-way GO train service along the Kitchener line. The expanded rail service will be a huge boost for the people and businesses of Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph-Wellington, Halton, Peel, and beyond. It will provide transit riders with more service, more options, more connections to other transit networks, and more convenience. It will help fight gridlock on our roads and reduce travel times, allowing people to spend less time commuting and more time at home with their families. Friends, over the next 10 years across the province, our government is investing over $70 billion in the biggest transit expansion in Canadian history. We're building fast and reliable rail options from Niagara in the west to Bowmanville in the east and to Timmins and Cochrane in the north. We're building new subways, including the Ontario Line, Scarborough Subway Extension, and the York North Subway Extension. And while some people may say that we have to choose between building roads and transit, that doesn't have to be the case. While we expand our transit system, we're investing $25 billion over the next 10 years to build new roads and highways. This includes the new Highway 413, which I know the people of Peel love. We hear it every single day, which will save drivers in Halton, Peel, and York regions up to 30 minutes each way on their commute. And the Bradford Bypass, a new 4-lane highway that connects Highways 400 and 404 that will save drivers up to 35 minutes per trip. We're building the transportation infrastructure and our economy needs to reach its full potential to keep people and goods moving. Together with our partners, we're building Ontario now and for the future. I want to thank you for joining us today, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We'll now go to the floor for questions. If reporters could please line up with the microphone behind me. If you could please identify yourselves by name and outlet. And just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Good afternoon, Premier. This
Hi.
is Nitin Chopra from Prime Asia TV.
Great to see you.
Thank you. Premier, if we say that Mississauga wants to move out of the region of Peel, and whereas the Brampton has long dues, long bills, more than $1 billion, and Mayor Patrick Brown is working very hard to get funding and businesses here in Brampton. So what is the Ontario government stand? Will you merge these cities, or your stand is other way? Thank you.
Well, we'll see. And thank you for that great question. I think I've always said publicly, and I'm not going to change it, I always think Brampton and Mississauga are large cities that can stand alone, but the decision hasn't been made. But I'll guarantee you that Brampton will always be taken care of, always, and they'll be made whole. And so will Mississauga and Caledon as well. And my biggest concern, I know it's the mayor's too, that the service levels, no matter if it's a call for the police, if it's fixing a road or whatever it might be, that the service continues to be the same or is actually better. So we're going to work hand in hand with all three regions.
Follow-up, Premier, is
Yep.
inflation is very high. We have seen long lineups outside the food banks. We have seen Canadians or Ontarians, they are struggling. So today we have federal counterparts, we have provincial counterparts. The minimum wage, $16 plus, is not enough for any Canadian or Ontarian. Why don't Premier Ford, who is a strong Premier, can take a lead and make a minimum wage $21 per hour? Because if Australia can make a minimum wage $21, why can't Canada or why can't Ontario? And federal counterparts are also here. Thank you, Premier.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the question. I think we have the highest minimum wage in the country, $16 and change. Our goal, and it has been, to create good-paying jobs in the province. I want to remind everyone, under the provincial Liberal government, 300,000 people, they were in line. They didn't even have a job to pay the bills. 650,000 people are working today that weren't working 4.5 years ago. We have a thriving economy. Companies are coming in here by the droves. They're continuing to invest in cities like Brampton every single day. And we're going to make sure everyone has good paying jobs so they don't have to rely on the minimum wage. Sure, some people may start there, but it's a stepping stone to get up into the higher wage category. And the other area, this is an employee's market. You know, sometimes it's the other way around, but nowadays people are in desperate need of hiring people. We could walk through this business park all day, and every single door we knock on, they say we need, 1, 2, 10, 15 people. And we just need more people coming through our door here in Ontario and calling it home.
Good afternoon, Premier.
Hi.
Prabnu from Parvasi Media Group.
Hi.
Yesterday, federal government unveiled the revamped Canadian passport. How would you like to comment on the removal of Canadian veterans like Terry Fox from the redesigned Canadian passport?
Well, I think it's fantastic. I think it looks slick. Everyone has the utmost respect for Terry Fox as well. What we need is just to bring more people in. A passport or no passport, let's continue bringing people in, making it easier for people to travel around the world. We're working hand in hand in collaboration with the federal government on all sorts of issues, and that's their jurisdiction, but we welcome them. I need more people here in Ontario. We had a record, by the way, 445,000 people landed in Ontario, fastest growing region in North America, bar none, not even close to any other place. The reason they're landing here, the quality of life, and this is where the jobs are in Canada. We're going to continue leading North America in job creation and economic development.
Hi, Premier. It's Alan Hale from Queen's Park today.
Hi, Alan.
So, the Neskantaga First Nation and some others have come to Queen's Park twice, and they've interrupted question period twice to tell you that there will be no Ring of Fire. And I know you have other communities such as Wabakwe and Martin Falls on board, but there are 7 other Mattawa First Nations in the area that are not. And I've been talking to mining experts who have said that the province doesn't absolutely need the Ring of Fire to do its EV supply chain. So given all that, is there any possibility that that the government will rethink the Ring of Fire given the Indigenous opposition, or are you always going to be prepared to get on that bulldozer?
Well, something, we're building that Ring of Fire sure as I'm talking to you. It's going to benefit First Nations community. Webakwe, as you said, and Martin Falls is leading the environmental assessment up in that area. We put $1 billion towards the roads, but this isn't just going to bring opportunity and employment to First Nations community. It's going to bring proper health care to the community. It's going to bring fresh food to the community. These communities are flying communities, and they're struggling. And, we're going to work with the First Nations community. We'll always be collaborative. And I think your numbers are a little wrong. It's not 7 that are against it. We have a few, and I think one's 300 kilometers away. But we're going to work with them anyways. It's going to benefit everyone, and we do need those critical minerals to be a leader in electric vehicles. We need lithium. We need cobalt. We need nickel. We need the processing plants to process these right here. There's 34 critical minerals that we have, probably even more. And I recommend everyone, you want to get a real eye-opener, you want to see what critical minerals Ontario has, go to the ROM. It's the best, probably the worst kept secret because it's beautiful in there. And we have all the critical minerals right there for people to see. It's really astounding. And I just want to thank the people, and specifically Kim Tate that runs the critical mineral area. She's a champion, by the way. And this is another selling tool for the world to come and take a look.
All right. If Ontario does really need the critical minerals, and we are going to move ahead with this project regardless.
Yeah.
How are you prepared for a possible conflict with communities like Neskantaga? What are you going to do if they follow through on promises to block construction from crossing the Attawapiskat River? It seems like if nothing changes, we are on a path to some kind of conflict here.
Well, we don't like conflict. We want to work with them hand in hand and be collaborative. I don't think the other First Nations community would be too happy about it, and that's something we'd sit down with them and the other communities to work things out. But this is critical to the future of Ontario to be one of the leaders when it comes to critical minerals, not just in Canada, North America, but around the world.
Hey, Premier, it's Charlie Pickerton.
Hi, Charlie.
Did staff in your office discuss changes to the Greenbelt months before the government announced them in early November, as reporting from this morning suggested? And if not, what was being discussed related to the Greenbelt by your staff last August?
Well, I just want to categorically say no. It wasn't discussed. It's very simple. What we're there to do, Charlie, is to build homes, to make sure that we hit our targets of 1.5 million homes and build it as quickly as possible, knock down any barrier that's in the way of building homes. We had 445,000 people come to Ontario, and I used this example last time. Florida and Texas always brag they're the fastest growing region in North America, 1,000 people a day. That's 365,000. Texas is twice our size. We have 445,000 people coming here. We need homes, and we're going to knock down every barrier there is to make sure we build affordable, attainable, nonprofit homes for the people of Ontario.
Okay, and it's been 7 months since your government announced the removal of properties from the Greenbelt. It's been a controversy ever since, and you face questions and criticism about it on a weekly, if not daily basis. The Auditor General and the Integrity Commissioner, which are both investigating this decision, they each have powers that, as I understand it, will allow them to find out where the decision originated and how the process worked. So why not waive privilege and release the documents that show where this came from if they did in fact come from the public service?
Well, we're always going to work with the commissioner, and we always have, and we continue to do so. But again, there was nothing wrong that happened here. We had a Liberal government that a bunch of staffers randomly got a highlighter and went up and down roads. They were going through golf courses, through buildings. It was just a big scam as far as I'm concerned. We have one of the best environmental records in the history of Ontario. I will challenge anyone to put our environmental record up against the previous government. And isn't it amazing, Charlie? Isn't it amazing? Not one person in the media, when the Liberals decided to change it, not once, not twice, not 4 or 5 times, 17 times. I'm going to repeat it. 17 times. There was no inquiry. There was nothing. Let's just keep building. And as far as I'm concerned, if there's property butt up against an existing community, one side of the road, there's homes. On the other side of the road, there's an empty field. We're in desperate need of homes. We're going to build homes in that field. We're going to build communities. We're going to build long-term care. We're going to build hospitals. And there's going to be another 50,000 people that are going to be able to afford to live in the GTA, to fill the jobs that we have here and the economy that we've created. So we're going to make sure we get this done. And by the way, I just want to point out one more thing that no one's ever commented, is when I took office 4.5 years ago to now, the Greenbelt is 2,000 acres larger than when I took office. So I think we're doing pretty good on the so-called Greenbelt, as the Liberals made up that name.
Hi, Premier. Randy Rath from CHCH TV.
Hey, Randy.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. This morning, Matt Cisco, the mayor of St. Catharines, was on our morning show, and I want to extend to you an open invitation to come on anytime you want.
I'd love to.
And he was saying that St. Catharines has a homelessness crisis. And what has happened is the seasonal shelters closed on April 15th, and it's manifesting itself by people in the downtown core soiling the streets, openly shooting up drugs. He's concerned that it's a huge mess, and he says they need emergency funding. He's asking all levels of government to help them out, regional, federal, and provincial. Is there anything you can do to give them money to give these people places to live so that they're not on the streets living?
Yeah, good question, and you look great in shorts, by the way, Randy. Anyways, this is very, very serious. The mayor texted me, and by the way, he's a really good mayor, and a lot of regions around Ontario are facing this. We are allocating millions of dollars throughout Ontario. The Auditor General came out with a report with a new formula. We're following the formula, but in saying that, we're always going to be there to help them build homes. And again, this is really tough on communities. When you go down the street and you see people shooting up needles, they're on drugs. They need rehabilitation. That's the first step. Then we have to get them into a home, and then we have to get them back on their feet and get a good paying job. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to continue supporting municipalities.
The mayor told me today that the first step is to get them into housing, because getting people off of drugs, getting them into rehab isn't going to work unless they have a place to live. And he says, he's very thankful for the money that was in the last provincial budget that's going to try to help solve homelessness, but they need emergency money, and he says they need it.
A good question, Randy. And the mayor is a really good mayor, as I mentioned. We actually increased funding for this, and he acknowledged it in his text today. We're going to be there to help these communities, but there's one thing I may disagree. These people need to be in rehab. I know it. I've seen it. They have to go to rehab, and then they can get homes. But in the meantime, when they're in rehab, we need to build more rehabilitation centers, supporting them. It's not only tough on communities, I'll tell you, it's tough on families too. seeing a loved one go through their challenges. But it goes back to making sure we build all types of homes for the homeless and nonprofit, and just supporting that community.
Hi, Premier Lorenda Redekop from CBC News.
Hi, Lorenda.
Hi there. I want to go back to the tragedy involving the police officers that you addressed earlier. This is far from the only incident recently. What do you think is contributing to all the violence targeting police over the last few months?
Well, number one part of it is bail reform. And, we're working collaboratively with the federal government, but there's out of the 5 people, 3 of them shouldn't be on that wall. The family shouldn't be going through the pain. If we had proper bail reform, keep the bad guys in jail. You can't have a justice system that has an open door policy. They go out shooting up the streets, and next thing you know, the next day, they're back out shooting up the streets. You commit a serious gun crime, you should be thrown in jail for years. And we need the support of the justice system, the federal government. When 13 premiers sign a letter, all police chiefs across the country, unheard of, all send a letter to the federal government, change the criminal code. We need to change the criminal code. I have confidence they're going to do it. I have our local MPs, and we work very well together with the federal government. I was just telling them there's probably no 2 governments of different political stripes that have worked as close together as we have. This is urgent. We can't wait until the next session. We need to act immediately. Absolutely immediately, because we can't have our police officers losing their lives, being ambushed, and literally ambushed. It's unacceptable.
With this motion that your party just voted down right before coming here, the opposition says that this would just bring Ontario in line with what the federal government has. So what's the problem with it? Why did you vote against it?
I'm not too sure what motion you're talking about, to be very frank.
Oh, sorry, Bill 100.
Okay. Well, I think right now we have a structure that is working. It's not broken. And this is just a little political maneuver from the opposition. We're going to continue moving forward. We're always held to account. And we're going to continue moving forward, being accountable to the taxpayers, like every government should be.
Hi, Premier. It's Siobhan Morris from CTV.
Hi, Siobhan.
Ontario's casinos have recorded more than $372 million in suspicious transactions, some of them as big as $100,000 in one go. One man in particular did $4 million of these kinds of transactions. Other jurisdictions aren't letting cash move in such big amounts, so why is Ontario?
Well, the OLG, if they see anything conspicuous or out of the norm, they call the OPP in, and they'll do an investigation like anything else. And I have all the confidence in the world in our OPP and along with the OLG. So any suspicious money flowing, they get contacted, and they'll do an investigation.
And I know it's been something of a moving target. Where are we at with the review of the governance and the structure of Peel Region municipalities, and when do you expect to have a decision that can be shared?
Well, hopefully very, very soon. But again, our goal, and I know it's Mayor Brown's goal, is to make sure they have equal or better service, no one being left behind. If one region is taking more money than the other, we're going to have to make sure that's split equally. But I can assure you, both Mississauga, Caledon, and Brampton will be taken care of, and they're going to work collaboratively if we decide to move forward on this as a group, not as just one person making a decision.
Hi, Premier. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. You talked about Mississauga and Brampton being able to stand alone. It sounds like you've kind of made your decision. Like, what are the bonuses, I guess, you see of separation versus amalgamation? Maybe we can hear from Mayor Brown on his thoughts, too, after.
Yeah, great. So one of the areas I feel when you give someone the authority to stand on their own with 2 big cities like Brampton and Mississauga. I think Mississauga is close to 800,000. You're close to almost 700,000 now, Mayor Brown. You don't have to worry about constantly going to the region. I'll give you one example with Mississauga. Mississauga dictates right now what Caledon can build. even though it's miles away, nowhere close to Mississauga. The other area that we have to make sure Brampton is always taken care of is a water treatment plant. You can't have, if this goes forward, you can't have Mississauga dictating, what Brampton can build. Mississauga, for the most part, almost, is built out. There's still room for additional building there. But Brampton still has an opportunity to continue to grow, but they are not going to be shafted by Mississauga or anyone else. I'm going to make sure they're always whole and they're always protected, all three regions, to deliver the same excellent service as they've expected over the last number of years. But I'll pass it over to Mayor Brown.
I would just add that I welcome the province looking at this. If we can look at ways to remove duplication, there is duplication. We have two planning. We had one recently at the Marigold Hotel, which was a really beat up property that desperately needed an investment, but because of the red tape and the planning process, that was being delayed. We managed to solve that one, but I see instances like that all the time. I think it's healthy to look at ways to remove that redundancy and duplication. The only thing I would say is that if there is two cities, Brampton needs to be made whole in the sense that the water treatment facilities, the police headquarters, we have built in Mississauga. And if the mayor of Mississauga thinks she can leave and not pay her bill, the residents of Brampton would be outraged. We have hardworking essential workers in our city. We saw that during COVID. The fact that since the 1970s, through their hard work and toil, we built that infrastructure in Mississauga. Any notion that the mayor of Mississauga could walk away from that and stiff the residents of Brampton is offensive. But other than that, I welcome any efforts to remove duplication, make it easier to build and invest and create jobs in Ontario.
Thank you.
I agree 100% with him.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up, Premier, you sort of mentioned in your previous answer about the Greenbelt, talking about it essentially being made up or a scam. Can you expand on that? Do you think the Greenbelt itself is a real thing that is a protected area?
I remember previous governments. I remember talking to Mayor Tory. He used to call it the dartboard. They literally put a dartboard and they just start throwing darts wherever is convenient with them. There was no study, no rhyme, no reason. A bunch of staffers grabbed highlighters and just randomly just started to go down streets. Like I said, one of the lines, they didn't even know what they were doing. They went right through a golf course. Another one went through a building. It wasn't studied. It wasn't proper. We're all for protecting the environment. We've grown the green belt. But I'm not going to have in a housing crisis a flat piece of property beside a community, and in some cases, surrounded by all communities with a piece of property with weeds growing out of it, which looks terrible for the community. First of all, we need homes. We're going to build homes. We're going to build hospitals, long-term care homes. 50,000 people will be living in these homes minimum, and we're going to get it done. It's very simple. Just because the Liberals came up with this fancy word, and by the way, we're the only jurisdiction in the entire country that has something like that. Folks, we aren't short of green space in Ontario. Or if you do it per capita, we probably have more green space than other regions in North America, bar none. But what we do need, we need homes.
This will be the last question.
Hi, Premier. Liam Casey with the Canadian Press.
Hi.
About the upcoming closure of the Minden ER, your health minister said yesterday it's a local decision. The hospital is saying that they just don't have enough staff to cover both Minden and Haliburton ER. This is why they're going through the closure.
Yeah.
But there is a role for the province to play. Will you step in and save the Minden ER?
Well, first of all, there's a misnomer out there that the province directs hospitals and hires the nurses. We don't. We do not direct hospitals. I do not call up CEOs and say, do this, do that, hire this person, that person. That doesn't happen. It's a local decision. They're not closing the hospital. They're short staff, and if we can help them and support them, we'll do that any way we can. But that's moving to Haliburton. They have more resources, larger hospital, and we want to make sure that everyone has convenient care as close to possible to home as they can. And that goes back to Bill 60 about making sure that we have community surgical clinics close to home and convenient service for the people that may be waiting 18 months for cataracts, which is ridiculous. Waiting 18 months for a hip or knee replacement while they sit in pain, we don't believe that. We believe we can deliver better service with collaboration of the hospitals, take the burden off the hospitals to free them up for real serious operations. So to answer your question, we'll do what we can to help the people of Minden. But again, I want to stress, I don't direct hospitals, don't direct CEOs of hospitals. It's a local decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been communicating back and forth with the Ottawa mayor, who is asking for his or the city's fair share of money in the new money given out for homelessness. I know that you're in talks. Are you guys going to give Ottawa more money so they can save some of the supportive housing and the affordable housing?
Yeah, Mayor Sucklevy is a great person. I probably talked to him more than any mayor. We've built up a really great relationship. The formula came out from the Auditor General. We're following the formula, but that doesn't make it right. Formulas aren't always right. They had unprecedented support for many, many years on that. I understand there's a real problem in Ottawa. We're going to be there for them. We're going to support them as we have in other areas. And we're going to continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with the mayor of Ottawa and help him any way we can. And he knows that. So we'll be there.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.